Yeah, I'm Jeremy Gerber. I'm the co-owner of the Roadster Shop, and I'm here with John York, who manages the entire hot rod shop here at the Roadster Shop. And today we wanted to reach out. We are hiring. We are looking for help in a variety of different departments here. But we wanted to squash a few myths, touch on a few things that we've heard over the years that might deter somebody from reaching out there and applying, and just kind of run through John's experience, my experience, and what it is that we're looking for and what it might take to work at the Roadster Shop. You know, there's a lot of guys out there that have a tremendous amount of potential, but not a lot of experience. Those are the guys that we're reaching out to. So right now we're looking for help in our hot rod fabrication, in the body shop, paint and body, even up in the final assembly. So primarily on the wiring, the 12 volt, the electrical side, but really looking to add to the team, and we just kind of wanted to run through some of the common questions, concerns, and some of the things we hear when we're looking for help. So the most common thing we hear when guys are applying at Roadster Shop is that they're incredibly intimidated. They're intimidated and they're reluctant to apply. And we've got a handful of guys who now work for us who are phenomenal fabricators, but it took them 2, 3, maybe 4 years before they built up, number one, the courage, and number two, they felt that they were at the level of what they see the Roadster Shop doing. But the truth is that we would have loved to have had them 2, 3 years prior, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Guys that maybe have only been in a small mom and pop shop for 2 years, 3 years, think that they need a background with a lot of experience, and it turns out they've got everything they need to come right in here and join the crew and jump in and be a good asset to the team.
Exactly. I mean, we've got a tremendous team that's made up of some senior guys, some phenomenal fabricators, and to be able to mix some guys who just simply have it, but maybe don't have the experience or haven't actually had a job in the industry, those are the guys we're looking for, because that mix creates some phenomenal fabricators and helps the team grow. I mean, you think there's a minimum amount of experience a guy needs, like on paper? It's
No.
yeah, I don't think
We've
so.
had guys that are brand new that turn out to be fantastic, and as you said, maybe some guys with a lot of experience, not that good.
Yep.
I think kind of the experience comes from, are you familiar with what we do, comfortable with the general hand tools, an understanding of the work we do. I think MIG welding, we both agree, a general understanding of welding would be a minimum skill.
Yep.
But aside from how long have I been doing it, what have I built in the past, absolutely not.
Yeah, we don't necessarily, I mean, we certainly don't expect a guy to walk in the door and stand in front of the Yoder power hammer and start shaping a complex panel. There's very few people that can do that, but having the fundamentals and the knowledge of, you know, how to put a piece of metal in a sheet metal brake and fold up some simple shapes, control of a MIG welder, and just like general control of hand tools. You know, you can often tell a guy if he's got the skill set just on how he works a very simple right angle grinder or something like that. So
I think we've had a mix of guys, maybe 1 to 2 years of just a general education at a trade school. Maybe just a high school machining course turns into a useful aspect for some guys. And some guys we've had are just, I've worked in the garage with my father most of my life, and I'm familiar with it, and they turn out to be great builders and fabricators. We have guys that do know how to use a lot of the equipment. You know, even I don't know how to use all the equipment to its full extent.
Sure you do, John.
Yeah, I will pretend like I do. But no, you don't have to. I mean, we've got the people that you can learn from and train, and you'd be surprised how far you can get with a simple hammer, a dolly, a pipe, bending something over your knee. Like, these are all things that go into making a car. It's not necessarily specific to the power hammer or that high-end equipment that we have. You know, it takes it all to get the job done.
Yep, as your skill set grows, those tools are at your disposal. And if you're a guy that craves improving your fabrication skills and diving deeper into the metal shaping world, it's all there, right there for you to learn, and there's guys to teach it.
Yeah, and it's all here at all times. We're never gonna tell somebody not to grab a piece of sheet metal and learn. In their spare time, you wanna improve your skills, hey, this is the place to do it. We've got it, we've got the knowledge and the tools, so you can always get better and learn the equipment that we do have.
We've got a big scrap bin, and it takes a lot of making scrap metal before you make useful shapes, so we encourage it. Man, it seems like it's a huge factory. Like it's maybe like corporate hot rodding, or I'm just gonna be a number, you know, on the wall or something like that. But The fact of the matter is how big is the team on the fabrication side?
Fabrication side, I think we just added a couple, which put us at 8.
Right.
You know, so a small crew.
Small crew of guys. The Roadster shop is a whole entity. I mean, we're large. The chassis shop is a thriving manufacturing business, but the hot rod shop, it's a very small core group. So from the outside looking in, this might seem like it's a massive factory, but inside, very small core group of guys. And to be honest with you, having those resources, I think the guys who are worried about it being too large of scale would really appreciate it. When you're at that size and you've got an engineering staff and you've got some advanced equipment, and just opens up a lot of different resources. Yeah. So I think it opens up windows for guys having that at their disposal. When people from the outside are looking in, they probably see a lot of Roadster shop vehicles that have been SEMA feature cars, magazine cover cars, cars that have been all over YouTube. Some of these cars end up being, they have a pretty big presence, and there's some pretty advanced styling and some pretty trick stuff going on in them. So I think sometimes people look at that and it could be, again, it falls under the intimidation deal. Like, am I expected to come into the Roadster shop and design these fender flares for this Buick Grand National? Do I have to lay out this spoiler for this GTO, or am I the guy that has to come up with this hood scoop or under hood design for this particular car? But we're fortunate to have an outstanding design department. That Chris Gray leading our design department, it makes that a lot more manageable for a fabricator, because the fabrication's often the easiest part of it. It's coming up with the idea, coming up with the shape, coming up with the profiles. So, I mean, we've both been out on the floor for years and years fabricating. You can speak to that. How did that work for you?
Even prior to having Chris here, But a lot of it is hands-on conversation. I mean, you and I were walking the shop floor pretty regularly, giving input. Chris, as you said, is always down there giving input. You're never necessarily left on your own to just figure it out, I would say here. Even though it may feel like it every now and then, in the beginning, like you said, you come in. I remember coming in and being scared shitless when I first started, not knowing what I was supposed to do, but you find out real quick that if you answer or ask questions, they're gonna get answered. And if you need help, we've got somebody here that'll do it. You never really feel like you're left out there on your own, I would say. So.
And that's a great point. I think the whole thing that we're really trying to touch on here, and you just said it, when you came in here, what was it, 15 years?
Yeah, about 15 years ago.
15 years ago, and you said you were scared shitless, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Well, from the other side of the table on my end, you came in and I'm saying, damn, this guy's really good. Like, this guy's crushing it, Yeah. And you see that a lot because you were just, intimidated, I suppose. And, I can speak to that as well, that years ago when I first got in the industry, I was in it was the Roadster shop at the time, but tiny little shop. And there were some pretty, well-known local shops that, for me, I was wanting to grow my skills as a fabricator and expand, but I was wildly intimidated by it. But knowing the behind the scenes now, and looking back, like, my skill set could have easily been applied and I probably would have been an asset there. So point being is take a chance, there's your skill set will carry you, I think, a lot further than you may think. And we're just looking for the guys that might just have what it takes, but maybe they don't know it,
Yeah. I feel like it's a story we've heard time and time again too with these guys that have been success stories. I didn't think I had it. I was nervous to do it. Maybe I only had a year or two experience, or none at all, and I didn't think it was going to work out. And then years later, we find out those are the guys that just kind of came in, kicked ass and rocked, because they were always working to achieve that next thing. And hopefully there's a few more of those young guys out there that are looking to do the same thing.
And I think the departments, it changes maybe a little bit what we're looking for from department to department. On the fabrication side, I mean, this pretty well covers all the bases, but when we move up into final assembly, in that area, that's where we're looking truly for the best of the best, the guys that really do have the experience, looking for somebody with phenomenal 12-volt wiring, troubleshooting, EFI, all the systems that go into building a complex, high horsepower, high performance car. That's somebody that truly has industry experience. So if you're gonna reach out to the Roadster shop, if you've got a resume, great. We don't need a formal resume, but we wanna know a little bit about you. So a cover letter, pictures of your work. Spend the time, compile a few pictures of your work, something that demonstrates what you've done in the past and what your capabilities are. Fire them over to careers@roadstershop.com. DM us through Instagram, message us through Facebook, info@RoadsterShop. You can find us all over the place. Reach out, make sure you include some pictures. We know it's Illinois, we know it's cold in the winter. We don't need to hear about it.
It's not that bad.